Hey boys, and welcome back to another Bleach Brace Soul video, and today we are going to be talking about Extreme Co-op because actually I've never talked about it on the channel. And why should you farm this game mode, and why should you work towards this game mode if you are a new player, because unfortunately if you are not in 3rd seat then you won't have access to this game mode. Now there is also a 7th seat and above Extreme Co-op, however I will say right now that the rewards aren't nearly as good as the 3rd seat and above, and honestly speaking I don't really know if it's worth farming. Maybe if you are a new player and you're in 7th seat, maybe you should do it because it does give you some editing brushes, but like I said, the rewards aren't nearly as good, and I tried it and I was like, nah, this isn't worth my time. So I only really recommend try and actually grind the Extreme Co-op one because the rewards are really good. Now you might be wondering, what are the rewards? Well, firstly, these are the 5 drops you can get. 4-star power hearts to level up your accessories, Hogyukus and Hogyuku wheels. Honestly speaking, many people are kind of set on those, but if you are kind of a mid-tier player and you're trying to transcend a lot, you can never go wrong with those 2 drops. You can also get guaranteed editing brushes every time you do beat the event. This is by far the best event and only good way to get editing brushes for your accessories to eventually try and get some good second traits. And the main appeal for this event is the fact that it does drop accessory tickets that are attribute specific. So if you are looking for a certain accessory, let's say you only want a power golden chappy, this is your best way to do it, because if you do get a 5-star accessory, let's say you're lucky enough on that 0.5% rate, there's a 1 in 4 chance of it being a golden chappies. This is by far, if you need any specific attribute accessory that's a 5-star, this is the way to go. Even for 4 stars, if you need that power Masanga, this is going to be the go-to way. So now that we talked about the rewards, let's talk about the quest details, because if you don't know, they change every month. So for this month, it's speed attribute boosted. That means your speed characters are going to have increased stats, and you only really want to use speed characters. You can use other attribute characters, but you're doing yourself a disfavor if you do that. So make sure you are using speed characters, and make sure you do follow the rules. For this month specifically, the enemies you're going against are going to have a Ranka killer, so you don't want to bring a Rankas. So that means you want to bring Squad 0 characters, humans, Soul Reapers, etc. Those characters right there take less damage, and if they have the Holo Killer and or Soul Reaper, they're going to be even doing more damage. So do keep that in mind. You kind of want to follow these rules to make your life and team's life a lot easier. Now this quest also does have enemies that are resistant to certain attacks, so that means melee resistance and range resistance. So that means when you're building a team or when you're finding players, you want to have a set team of 2 melee characters and 2 range characters. However, with one character that completely breaks the game, you don't really need to do that, and we'll talk about that certain character when we do talk about team examples of what you want to bring. So do keep in mind, you can't really try and beat this quest with 4 melee characters unless those 4 melee characters do have access to those goggles or headband accessories. I'm not sure which one's which, but they do allow you to bypass resistances at like a 40% rate. So you can do it with 4 melee characters and 4 range characters if you do have those accessories that ignore resistances. However, do keep in mind the best and go-to way is to use 2 melee characters and 2 range characters. Now the last thing you need to know about this event is the fact that it does run on a schedule, and it's only available 5 times a day for 2 hours. So do keep that in mind. You want to make sure you have time set aside to be able to farm this event, and if you can't, it's a bit unfortunate, but hopefully you can at least get 2 hours a day in this event, and it does make a big difference if you can do that. So the picture on screen right now is the time zone for these events. Now do keep this in mind that this is my time. This is going off of GMT. So if you're in the EU, it's going to be a different time. If you're in America, it's going to be a different time. So best advice is to go into the game, go into the news section and click on this notice, scroll down to the bottom and look at the schedule, because it should update into your time zone. That's the best way to do it if you want to know exactly when these events do start. So that being said, we went over the rules, we went over the rewards and when it's available. Now let's talk about example teams and characters best fit to take on this Extreme Co-op. So on your screen right now is a list of characters you might want to bring to this event. Lucky for us, there are no bonus characters, so honestly you can just bring your best speed character as long as they aren't an Aaroniero character. Even then, you could still bring them if they are transcended. However, I won't be recommending any Aaroniero characters in this video. So Hatchigan is the first character recommendation. He is actually very good. He's a 12% recharge, range character, Holo Killer, also a Soul Reaper character. So if you do bring Tengo, or there's one Tengo in your quest, boom, he's getting an additional 20% strong attack damage. However, the main point about this Hatchigan is the fact that his second strong attack is a shield, and that will allow you to potentially survive some hits from enemies. Now for himself, it is a 3-hit shield, so it's better for him. However, for your teammates, it's only a 1-hit shield. However, trust me, that 1-hit shield can really make the difference between surviving and dying, especially if you are low on revive candles. You really don't want to be dying in this quest. Next character recommendation is Bankai Yamamoto, a very good character, and really he's just here to do some damage. He can burn, so if you do use your soul bomb, it's pretty much going to kill the enemies. He does have a vortex, so if you are host, you can also group all the enemies and do a lot of damage, so you can't really go wrong with him. Similar to Hatchigan, he's a Soripa, so if you do have the Tengo, and I'm going to mention Tengo a lot because that buff is actually really good, especially for this month, he is also a Soripa character, so he's going to get that additional 20% strong attack damage if you do have a Tengo in your team. Another character to bring is Speed Renji. Now this character, similar to the other two we talked about, is a Speed Soripa character. So boom, if you have Tenjiro, he's getting additional 20% strong attack damage. Now the main reason I'm mentioning him is for the fact that he is a very common character, and many people might have him 5 out of 5. So if for some reason you're out there and you transcended this man, he might be a very good option to take into this extreme co-op. Another recommendation is 1000 Year Blood War Yurichi. Can't really go wrong with her. A good character. She can transform, making her strong attacks do even more damage. And also, when she does transform, her strong attacks do reset, allowing you to do even more damage. So you can't really go wrong with her. Quite a fun character to play as a soul. So there you go. To use another recommendation. Similar to the other character we talked about, she is also a Soriba character. So if you do have a Tenjiro, you're getting that extra strong attack damage. And the last character recommendation for the Holo Killer is Lisa. Lisa, the past version, is also another good character. Good strong attacks. Second strong attack is a Vortex, so it's been good for crowd control. Can't really go wrong with her. She is quite common. You might have a 5 out of 5, and if you do, then boom, if you do decide to transcend her, you will be able to do a lot of damage. Myself included, I have a max transcended, or level 10 SP and 500 SP, and she might actually be my main go-to character for this because, yeah, I should be able to nuke a lot of bosses with her soul bomb if I do decide to host. Alright, so now let's talk about the next set of characters. The first character we're talking about is Speed Keyscape. This character does not have killer advantage in this quest. He has no affiliation killer. However, that being said, he does have a very good kit, and he also does have 40% Berserker, allowing him to hit harder than even some characters that I even just recommended before him. So he's very good, can't go wrong with him. Similar to the other 5 characters we talked about, he is a Soriba character, so he does get that additional 20% strong attack damage if you do have a Tenjiro in your team. Speaking of Tenjiro, he is by far one of the best characters to bring in this event because of the following reasons. He is a very good character, he hits hard, he's going to be doing a lot of damage, and also a very good support. He has a skill where if you do have him in your team, he's going to buff speed Soriba characters by 20% strong attack damage. So he's there to basically provide a lot of damage and also make your team do a lot of damage. So he's a very good character. Every team should strive to have at least one Tenjiro. Another thing about this character is the fact that when you do use his soul bomb, any teammate that dies after you've used his soul bomb will revive to 50% HP. So in this game mode, and I mentioned about Hatchigan, where you can potentially get one-shotted if you don't have a max transcended character, any way to make sure you don't waste revive candles is going to be very good. Him in your team, the fact that you just basically get a free revive is very good, and you can keep stacking that if you do decide to bring more than one Tenjiro. So very good, by far one of the best characters to use for this event. Another character recommendation is Spirit Society again. Now, he isn't really here to do a lot of damage. That being said, he can do a decent amount of damage. He is a Soriba character, so he does get that additional 20% strong attack damage buff if you do have a Tenjiro in your team. But the main thing about him is the fact that he can provide team heals. So you can never really go wrong with team heals, and that's pretty much why I recommended him. Another character I forgot to mention, so I'm editing this in, is Bambita. Now, she isn't a Soriba character, and as you can see from the last 5 characters we just talked about, and the other characters we're going to be talking about, they are all Soriba characters because mainly they get the buff from Tenjiro, and trust me, it does make a big difference. However, Bambita alone is good enough, so she can be put on a team. It really doesn't matter if she gets the buff or not. She's good as is, so she's another good character to go for it. She is a boss killer. By that, she does burn the enemies, and when she does burn the enemies, she does even more damage. So overall, she's a good character. Probably one of the only non-Soriba characters I would recommend for this quest. So that alone just makes it worth it. Not a bad choice. Feel free to bring that if you want to. Now, that being said, we talked about the main characters. There's one last character to talk about, and that's definitely, if you have this character, every character I just mentioned, forget about him. Bring this character, and that is Speed 5th Anniversary Byakuya. This character is by far the best character for this, and it's perfect timing that this event released when it did, because believe it or not, if you haven't realized yet, this Byakuya has 2 killers, and it just so happens to be the 2 killers that are in this quest. So yes, every enemy this Byakuya hits is going to have killer advantage. So that's amazing as is, and it doesn't even stop there. His second strong attack, if you have 3 Byakuyas in your team, is going to completely obliterate every enemy in this quest. It's absolutely insane. He has bombardment, so that's going to allow him to nuke a lot of enemies. And also, similar to the other characters, he's a speed character. So by far the best team and the go-to team that you should be trying to work towards is 1 Tenjiro and 3 Byakuya's. Having this team will allow Byakuya to have 60% Berserker, which should allow him to hit very, very hard. And then also the Tenjiro will also be doing a lot of damage and also allow the Byakuyas to revive if they do for some reason die. Byakuya's second strong attack will completely wipe up this whole event, and that's by far the best team you can bring in this event. So now that we talked about the best teams possible, characters you want to bring, the rewards, quest details, etc., now let's talk about one last thing, and that is the auto strategy. So this idea is basically when you have a certain defense number in this quest, because keep in mind I mentioned it earlier, speed characters have their stats boosted, you only take 1 damage from any boss. It's quite insane actually how you could do this. It's quite funny. Now this isn't needed to do. The only reason to do this is if you can't manually play the game because you're busy or you don't have time, but you can just have your phone there autoing the quest with other teammates. So again, it's not needed to do, but it's quite fun and it is an option for some of you lads to do. I've done that a couple months ago with the Tokinada one. So the idea is that you want to have above 1000 defense. To do this, you're going to want to make sure you have a character with a level 10 defense slot. So not everyone can do that, but it's pretty much needed. And you want to make sure you have accessories that boost defense. So chappies, golden chappies, other defense boosting accessories. There's not a lot out there, but there are a decent amount that do boost defense stats. And also make sure that the second traits also boost defense by 30%, just so you can get to that number a lot easier. Once you do that, you only take 1 damage, and that's even without DR links. You don't even need DR links with this strategy. However, because as you can see on the screen right now, there are poison and fire pits, so you are going to take burn damage and poison damage. So what you want to do is bring a poison and fire resistance character link. Now it's way better if they are 100%. For example, the fire one, you can bring Wonderwise. For the poison one, you can bring Nemu. Now, they aren't going to be link-slotted characters, so you're not getting extra stats for them. However, that third slot, you can pretty much put a recovery link, you can put a DR link, even though it might not be needed, but just make sure that third character link is a speed character, so you can just get those bits of extra stats. Alright lads, that was the video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Hopefully you did learn something new with this Extreme Co-op guide. I will probably make one every month, because it is something to talk about, and it is also kind of cool to talk about, because again, not a lot of people might know about strategies or what characters to use, especially if you are somewhat new to the game or somewhat of a mid-tier player that maybe is now just getting serious in the game because you got lucky and pulled Byakuya and Ichigo. So I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, smack the like button, subscribe, share all that good stuff, and I'll see you lads in the next video. Peace.